Why are there so many Sabers is a question often asked out of frustration by many onlookers to the Fate series. There are countless memes and discussions about it everywhere. And a lot of the frustration stems from fans' inability to give a straight answer. But what people don't realize is that when they ask, why are there so many Sabers, what they are really asking is three different questions conflated together. So antisocial weebs with no communication skills often find it difficult to answer all three and end up saying something stupid like, which one? Or the class or the character. So I'm going to answer all three of these questions in one easy to digest video. Okay, the first thing anyone should know about this is Saber is not a name, it's a class. If you were to go around asking people why there are so many doctors, you would probably get a similarly bewildering look on people's faces. The in-universe reason people call each other by their class name rather than their actual name is to keep their identities secret. If you're fighting Achilles after all, where do you target? And by time the main characters of the series, and by proxy the audience, find out who the characters actually are, they've grown so accustomed to just referring to each other by their classes, they keep doing it even after finding out the true names. The reason there is very little confusion amongst the fandom and people know who you are referring to when you say Saber, despite there being dozens of possible characters, is that in the vast majority of situations, people are specifically referring to the Saber with blonde hair, green eyes, a blue dress that likes to eat. So most people intuitively know what you mean when you say Saber. In fact, if you don't mean that one, they'll specifically add some kind of qualifier that will make it clear it's not her. In fact, it seems kind of bizarre that this is uniquely a Saber problem. You never see anybody ask why there are so many writers or casters. By the way, all of them are in similar situations. When somebody says Lancer, we all immediately think of the same person, unless you specifically stated otherwise. So, the answer to the first question is because Saber is a class, not a name. But hey, maybe you already know that, and are asking why there are so many of this Saber specifically. The answer to that question is because money. Fate Grand Order is a cynical, predatory gambling simulator whose core gameplay loop is barely more sophisticated than a mini-clip game and incorporates TF2 crate opening mechanics as its sole way of unlocking more playable characters. It has generated literally billions of dollars in revenue, and is probably the reason it has taken Nasu, the main writer of the series, over a decade to complete the Tsukihime remake. Saber is a fan favorite, so she almost always gets all the new dresses, bathing suits, and other cosmetics. All which incidentally do affect gameplay, just in case you didn't think this game was scummy enough. This is all in an effort to get as many vulnerable people with either gambling compulsions or psychological issues as possible to uncrate as much as possible, like this is TF2 and you're trying to unbox a burning killer exclusive to pay off your mortgage, all while cheapening the reputation of this once beloved series to the point that outsiders literally have to ask why there are so many of the same character. So, to reiterate, why are there so many of this Saber? For the same reason there are so many different Arctic Warfares in CSGO. So you can buy them. The third and final version of this question people are either trying to ask or don't realize they are asking is one concerning the style. Why do so many characters look like Saber? This is a little bit more difficult to answer because it's counterintuitively the simplest, because that's just how Takeuchi draws. You see, basically every single artist has their own style, to the point where you can actually recognize who is drawing entirely based off of how it looks. Take Hayao Miyazaki for example. A lot of his movies have a lot of the same feel, and even though I love a lot of his work, the guy only really knows how to draw like 3 faces. To the point where I can just show you a screenshot from something like Heidi and you can tell he's the creator. Same thing can be said about Rumihiko Takahashi. Takeuchi is no different from any of these artists in that respect. People just talk about the infamous Saber face a whole lot more because of a combination of memes and the compounding reasons above. Unless of course you are talking about Nero Claudius specifically. For that I'll have to refer you back to answer 2, money. You see, Fate Stay Night was very popular when it came out. So when it came time to make another game in a different genre, with different mechanics and a different main character, all drawn by a different artist, the lovely folks over at Type Moon thought it would be a clever idea to mandate that the new artist draw the main character to look almost exactly the same as their previously extremely successful character. This resulted in the anachronistic Nero we know today, only adding to the confusion. But like I said above, there's pretty much no confusion amongst the actual internal fans, seeing as every time we want to refer to her, we just call her Nero. There, and with that, I should have cleared up any misconceptions and misinformation anyone should have about the series.